going on, guys? Clan Brandolorian here. I'm the Brandolorian. We're going to talk about Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 4. Let's get into it. Last night after watching this episode, I gave it about a 5 out of 10. I was really upset. I didn't like how it was executed right at the beginning, but I kind of had to watch it a second time to completely understand the importance of the entire episode. So Star Wars fans having a lot of toxicity and traits along those lines, I kind of fell into that last night. I was really expecting to see Quinlan Vos saving Grogu, and that didn't happen so far that we see. I just really wanted that to happen, so I think I kind of hung myself up real high on that. Quinlan Vos was the one who saved Grogu, and I'm more of the type of Disney Star Wars is going to give us this, I'm just going to accept it because there's no other way of going back. You can't really retcon anything that's live action, so we're just going to have to roll with it and just accept it. But with Ahmed Best being casted again in the Star Wars project, especially after playing Jar Jar Binks in the prequel trilogy, we get to see him actually come back as a different character. And for those who didn't know, Ahmed Best actually played Jar Jar underneath the costume in episode 1, 2, and 3. So it's really cool we get to see him again. And, you know, alongside a lot of the prequel trilogy actors and actresses, they got kind of heckled a lot. They got a lot of hate for the roles that they played in the earlier films. And especially with Jar Jar being one of the most annoying characters that a lot of people think and say of, the actor Ahmed Best actually took a lot of heat for that. So to actually see him come back and actually play a huge role in saving Grogu that we've been waiting 2 seasons to see who actually saves him, it happens to be his character. Kelleran Beck is who he plays. He's actually a Jedi Knight who's in charge of watching over the younglings and kind of taking care of them. And it's cool that we actually get to see him using 2 lightsabers, and he's just going completely nuts on the clone troopers. And seeing Kelleran and Grogu leaving on the speeder bikes, we get to see them, you know, go through a Coruscant that's actually falling during the Jedi Purge or Night of Order 66, and we get to see Coruscant kind of up in flames, especially around where the Jedi Temple is. And we get to see Grogu kind of grow up. You know, it seems like each episode we get to see more and more growth from him, especially when he does training against Ragnar, and just the flashback we get, because you can tell he's just a little kid. It's just kind of sad, you know, what the things he had to go through to end up where he is today. I still think there's some room for Quinlan Vos. I'm just a Quinlan Vos fanboy, and I just really want to see him and get his character the appreciation he needs. But I am more than happy, you know, the next day that it's actually Kelleran Beck. I think that's really good for the actor, and I think that's really good for maybe some future character development. Maybe we see him kind of run off of Reva after maybe he kind of double backs to Coruscant and happens to find like a young Reva, and then she kind of goes dark. Or maybe Reva and Grogu end up together when they're younglings and they kind of split off into their own path. Who knows? We'll see. But besides the Order 66 and the great flashback we get, that's been needed, it's been wanted for a long time now, and we finally got that. So we do find out that Ragnar is Paz Vizsla's son. Whether he found him and just kind of took him under his wing and he is now his son, or he actually is his father through blood, we get to see that character development for Paz Vizsla. And I don't know about you guys, but every time I watch The Mandalorian and see Paz Vizsla, I'm like, is this has to be inspired by Jason X somehow, because he has that big suit. It doesn't look right, and it's just kind of like funky. It looks more of like a mask than a helmet. I don't know if it's just because the character is just so big, you know, Jon Favreau. It's just, I don't know if that's just kind of how it looks, but I just think it's funny. It looks like Jason X. But with Ragnar, we get to see, you know, how important he is to Paz Vizsla, and he's the, you know, summoned under the Mandalorians, under the Watch, and we get to see him kind of grow up, and these are just kind of his early stages. And one thing I'm so happy about is we get to see Grogu with some sort of weaponry or arm sleeves. Even though they're kind of like duds, you know, just kind of training purposes, like we get to see Grogu with arm sleeves, and how dope is that? We get to see him shoot little paintballs, and he actually is able to use the Force, and he's going to be a menace of a Jedi Mandalorian. Because if you put his training from Luke that he's had for 2 years, and then the previous Jedi training that he had when he was a youngling, on top of Mando and Din Djarin and Bo-Katan and the armor, maybe Paz Vizsla and other Mandalorians in the Watch, like all of that knowledge and talent, he's going to be one of the greatest and strongest Star Wars characters to ever live by the end of it. And you can't just knock down, you know, Grogu's abilities with him not being able to wear a helmet. So we do find out once Grogu is able to speak the way, he will be able to have a helmet. So we get to see him get kind of like the medallion piece with the Mudhorn Clan of Two logo on it that he'll wear on his chest for now until he grows into it. Which Grogu will probably grow maybe 3 times the size of what he is now. especially with Yoda, Master Yoda. He's a lot bigger, of course, than Grogu. So it's probably, I'd say probably roughly around 2.5 to 3 times bigger than where Grogu stands right now, which I think is going to be really cool. We get to see a smaller character, a smaller species be able to play the role of, you know, humanoid Mandalorians. And then kind of one of the last things I want to talk about is Bo-Katan actually seeing the mythosaur. She goes ahead and tells the armor about it, and she just kind of rubs it off and just says, "This is the way." And with her not kind of believing her off the bat, Bo-Katan definitely is just like, nah, like I've seen one, so what's next? And with the armor and just how she is, she always happens to brush things off and just is like, okay, this is the way. So I think Bo-Katan's actually going to go back to Mandalore, and I hope she tames the mythosaur and then brings it to maybe their covert where they're staying right now. That would be kind of cool. I don't know how she'd get it there, but or she can bring the armor and other Mandalorians to Mandalore just to show them, you know, like this is how things are now, and we can bring this back up. But yeah, with that being said, I think this episode last night, I gave it a strong 5 out of 10, but just rewatching it and kind of letting my, putting my feelings to the side, I definitely give it about an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. I was just super upset when it wasn't Quinlan Vos through that door and just opening it, but that's fine though. You know, that's something I want. I'm not the one who makes the show. I'm not the one who writes it. So I'm just very happy that we actually got to see something and actually understand what happens to Grogu after the night of Order 66. And also too, with that being said, you can't really just say, oh yeah, it's going to be Mace Windu. Like, oh, like how would we react? You know, just kind of thinking like, yeah, that's awesome. But at the same time, if we get a new character, it's just completely unexpected. And that's definitely good directing and screenwriting. But yeah, guys, thanks for checking in. And I'll see y'all in the next video. The next one will be kind of nice, so be prepared. And make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and let me know what's going up. Follow the TikTok at Brandolorian66 and follow the Instagram at Brandolorian66. We got some Legos, we got some Funkos to go over, so I'll see y'all in the next one. May the Force be with you.